This is the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of the Most High, and have the testimony of YAHAWASHI HaMashiach. Call HALAL, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, RAWCHAA, QADASH, that's giving all praise to the Most High, in the name of His only begotten Son, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to our teachers, the elders, and the apostles of Great Millstone, who taught us His truth, and truth and sincerity. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered abroad. Shalom to 144,000. Real quick, in this video, I wanted to go into this executive order, okay, that Trump, has been getting spoken about all day, through the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahawashi, because they try to, to slide this under the rug, but through the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahawashi, the Lord put brothers on game to what Esau is doing, particularly this guy Trump, and really he's about to come down with wrath, okay? He's about to show you he the devil, which we were just going into that. The brothers were just over here, and through the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahawashi, we see what, what this is leading up to. It's all prophetic, okay? So bringing this back, this is Revelation chapter 12, verse 17, and the dragon was wroth with the woman, right? This dragon is symbolic for Esau, okay? And the woman is symbolic for Israel. It says, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. So this is Esau. He's about to make war. Okay, he's about to come down with that great wrath. He's about to bring a lot of death and destruction in these last days. And it's through the grace and mercy of Yahweh Bashim Yahawashi that we understand this in these last days. And Lord willing, we are protected, because we're going to need protection. Okay, it says, which keep the commandments of the Most High, and have the testimony of YAHAWASHI HaMashiach. So those of us that's keeping the commandments to the best of our ability, that have the testimony, which is the spirit of prophecy. All right, Esau hates that, okay? This man is being torn down by this word going out. Scripture says that the gospel may be preached into the whole world, and then shall the end come. So the more this word goes out, the closer we get to the end. And that's the end of Esau's kingdom, his rulership. So he's pissed off, all right? He's pissed off. Jumping up to verse 12, it says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil shall come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So he see this word coming out, it's exposing him, he's being found out. These small hats are being called out by everybody. He sees his time is short, so now he's got to come down with that wrath. All right, let's play some of this.
Okay, this is incredibly important, so everybody stop what you're doing, share, repost, do whatever you can to make sure people know about this. Because something flew under the radar for a lot of people yesterday. Something that cannot be explained and does not make sense, except under certain circumstances. Yesterday, Trump signed an executive order called Strengthening and Unleashing America's Law Enforcement to Pursue Criminals and Protect Innocent Citizens. Like most things the Republicans do, it is a misnomer and pretends that it does something it doesn't. But there's a certain section you should look at. You can pause to read this, but it says that within 90 days of the order, the Attorney General, the Secretary of Defense, and the Secretary of Homeland Security increase military and national security assets in local jurisdictions to assist state and local law enforcement. This literally says that within 3 months of this order being signed yesterday, the heads of these agencies are supposed to use the military for local policing. This is something that is currently already illegal under the Posse Comitatus Act. The federal government and the military cannot be used to enforce domestic policies. And as many people have pointed out already, there's only two.
Now notice he said the unleashing, okay? They're about to unleash, all right? Esau's about to unleash his wrath. He's about to show you he's a devil. He's about to go full-blown all out, buck wild, okay? That old serpent, he's coming back out. So they're saying how in 90 days, from, I guess, the 28th, I believe that he passed this, or he put this in this executive order out, in 90 days from now, which is going to bring us to, like, the middle of to the end of the summer, okay? When it's hot out, when everybody, trying to, be outside, because that's when the protests be coming out too. People start going out to protest in the middle of the summer, So they're saying that he's going to put military in the streets, and he's going to militarize these police, okay, against any civil unrest. This is why he's flirting with the idea of sending American citizens to the El Salvadorian prison. I just saw a video earlier today how they came up looking for a guy, saw somebody else, asked him what his name was. It was a 19-year-old, and they said, well, you're not who we're looking for, but we'll take you anyways. And he had no criminal record, okay? They sent a guy over there, and the Supreme Court told Trump they got to bring this guy back, and he said no. He told the Supreme Court no. All right, so this guy Trump, what he's going to do too, with all this pressure, because his ratings are going down, with all this pressure, he's going to eventually end up invoking martial law so he can stay in power. All right, then he's not going to deal with that whole impeachment thing like he had to deal with last time. This time, he said, I know how to get around that now. Okay, look at it right here at the top of the screen on your right. It says immigration operation yields over 1,000 arrests in Florida. This came out an hour ago. Fox 35 Orlando. We might watch that next. Okay. But it's all spiritual that these things are coming out. These things are happening, and this is the right time. Okay, because Esau is about to show you he's a devil. He's about to tell our people, you know, exactly. He's telling our people exactly what he's about to do to you. He put it in your movies, the Purge movies and such and such. He's telling you what he's finna do. So I'm gonna grab this definition real quick. This is totalitarianism. It says a system of government that is centralized and dictatorial. Okay, he wants to be a dictator. Trump wants to be a dictator. Okay, he wants complete, you know, you can grab that word dictator for next, but he wants complete control. Okay, what he say goes. He's kicking reporters out that's not, you know, agreeing, you know, with him. He kicking you out. Okay, he wants to be a dictator. It says, and requires complete subservience to the state. See, they require complete subservience. They want you to be in servitude, in subjection. Okay. And it says, I got a parentheses, democratic countries were fighting against totalitarianism. And isn't it ironic that this democratic country is now becoming a totalitarianism system? All right, let's grab this word for dictator. That's what Trump is trying to be. Okay, and he's going to use the military, which, you know, he's trying to get around the law. He said he's looking for laws to send American citizens to El Salvador in prison. He said, y'all going to need to make 5 more. Did you know that this man is talking with other countries about sending people to their countries as well? He's talking to Libya and another country, and they're talking to them about, can we send, you know, the worst of our criminals to your country? You know? So, hey, we in that time. And I was meditating upon this earlier. You know, the Lord may have it where, you know, some of us may get sent off to some of these, you know, camps or whatever, you know, these prisons. And the Lord gonna give brothers that power, man, okay, to break up out of there, okay? However he do it, because you go to that El Salvador prison, they say you don't come out. The only way you come out of there is in the body bag, okay? But this is a dictator, a ruler with total power over a country. This is what Trump wants. He came in as a president, but he's trying to become a dictator. It says a ruler with total power over a country, and if they invoke martial law, that's what he's going to have, total power. Okay, a ruler with total power over a country, typically one who has obtained control by force. You hear this? Typically one that has obtained control by force. So Trump, when he says he's going to use the military, they're going to put the military in the streets. They're going to militarize the police. This is what he's talking about, by force, okay? He's coming against anybody who comes against him. Any of his political opponents, he's coming for them. They showed you that in that Purge, the first Purge movie, how, you know, you had the woman, you know, that was, you know, making sure that what they was doing in the Purge was humane or whatever, okay? And when he got her approval, what happened? He had her killed, okay? Trump is wilding out, and he gonna show you he the devil. The Lord put this man in office, okay, which is Nero coming back through the Spirit. He put this man in office so he can turn this place upside down, just like Rome was turned upside down. Okay, a person who behaves in an autocratic way. All right, so let's play some more.
Actually use this executive order to have the military do local policing. That is by somehow having Congress overturn the Posse Comitatus Act, which is never going to happen, or by him invoking the Insurrection Act and putting us under martial law. There is literally no other way that executive order would work. This is something that everybody should be alarmed about.
Let's talk about Trump's newest executive order. I posted about it previously, saying it was Trump calling for martial law. I had people flooding my comments saying, it's not martial law. Do you even know what martial law is? Do you know what due process is? Do you know what federal courts are? Do you know what the Constitution is? Because Trump has repeatedly attacked every single one of those things. He does not care. This administration does not care about the rule of law. It uses censorship and propaganda in so many forms to demonize and generalize groups of people to make them easier targets amongst their supporters. They have eliminated due process to imprison and deport innocent people to concentration camps, regardless of legal status. They have imprisoned and deported legal U.S. residents, work permit holders, people who have been granted asylum, people going through the legal immigration process. They have deported children who are U.S. citizens. The regime has imprisoned students for peacefully protesting the genocide they are funding and facilitating. They are labeling anyone they want a criminal or terrorist without proof, kidnapping them with no warrants, revoking visas without cause, and imprisoning them without due process. And they've begun arresting judges. I said this new executive order is a call for...
They've begun arresting judges. This man is arresting judges. He was sending like 2 planefuls of migrants to, you know, I believe the El Salvadorian prison. And the Supreme Court judge told him, hey, you know, you got to turn back around and bring them back. They was mocking him on Twitter, telling him too late, you know, or True Social, whatever it was, you know, and they just doing what they want to do. This administration, and listen, they only doing this because they're allowing them to do it. All right, they ain't just doing what they want to do. The Lord, hey, the powers that be are allowing them to do it because it's the will of YAHAWASHI. Trump is the, you know, is the fall guy, okay? He's the fall guy. So it's all through the spirit that YAHAWASHI is putting us on game to what this man is doing at his every move, because most of our people are going to be lost and they're going to be taken by this. They're going to get caught up in the teeth of this beast, you know? This man is about to come down with wrath. He's going to have no mercy, all right? Let's go right here. This is Revelation chapter 2. Let me see. No, let's go over here. Salakia. This is Revelation chapter 2, verse 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried. And ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So don't fear. Okay, I don't put this video out to fear, but this is a warning. The scripture says, give them warning from me. This man is about to come down with wrath. He's about to show the whole world that he's a devil. He's about to let everybody know that he is that wicked man. Okay? He don't care about your children. He don't care about your grandparents. He don't care about nobody. He don't care about his own people. So he comes down with this wrath. It's going to be ruthless. All right? So it says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. We're going to suffer a lot. You know, you might have to go a week without eating. Truth be told, the Lord going to take care. He's going to come through for us, but He going to test you first. We have to go through a time of tribulation. It says, behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. This devil is going to be seeking to cast some of us into prison. And I looked up this executive order, and it's real. You think people just, you know, making this up? No, this is real. This man been packed. He came into his first 100 days in office a few days ago, and he's been making executive orders every day, and they ain't reading them all to you. They ain't giving you the spill of every executive order. Okay, you got to go do your research. So if somebody don't read and did their research and found out what, oh, hold up, he just signed this. What is this about? And they made it sound all sweet, you know. You know, his mouth, his words were soft as butter, like they really care about the people. But really, it's a trap to bring more hell upon the people. And he know people are about to start protesting and acting up, and well, people are already protesting against him now. Every other weekend, you got people they having unity protests all around the world. All around the world, we go all around the world. They having unity protests all around the world about Trump. It was a video where he met up with these world leaders, and they was all quiet when he came in the room. And Zelensky came in, and they all started clapping and cheering. America is being looked down upon right now, so Trump's backed in a corner on every front. When you back a rabid dog or a raccoon into a corner, it's going to eventually lash out and start acting sporadic. And that's what Trump is about to do.
Martial law, because that's exactly what it is. The Trump regime does not adhere to the formal practices It does not adhere to the rule of law or our system of checks and balances. This is the next step. This is the next mile they are taking after being given all kinds of inches. And they are doing it under the guise of fighting the illegal alien invasion, which is a big fucking lie. If you read the executive order, you can see that they are talking about investing in the capacity of prison. They're talking about militarizing the police, deploying military and national security assets into local jurisdictions, holding state and local officials accountable, off the tail end of arresting a judge, so we know what that means. And they're talking about prosecuting those who take part in diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. If an administration is talking about prosecuting people for diversity, equity, and inclusion, you should probably infer that that administration is fucking bad. We need to understand the scope and the gravity of what all of this means and treat it as such. We can't mince words. From the guy who wants a military parade in Washington, D.C. for his birthday, when Donald Trump repeatedly says he's going to do some fascist shit, that's the only time to believe him, because that's when he's consistent. They've already invoked the Alien Enemies Act to give ICE immunity and the power to break into people's homes and kidnap them without having a warrant. They're this close to invoking the Insurrection Act. What's happening in this country is all encompassing. And if you've actually been paying attention, you'd be ringing the alarm bells too. This is not normal.
And that's what we're doing.
It's fascism.
Hey,
this is not.
That's what we're doing. We're ringing the alarm bells. If you're paying attention, you're going to be ringing the alarm bell. These videos going to be going off. Okay? This is us ringing that alarm bell, giving that warning. Through the spirit of YAHAWASHI, telling you, wake up, snap out of it. These bells about to move. And you know how they move. You see what just happened over there in Europe. They're going to cut the lights out. There's going to be a blackout. They're going to come in the dead of the night, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning while you sleep in your drawers, and they're going to kick in your door, get on the ground, take you to a secluded place you don't know where you at. They disappear people. They're disappearing these immigrants right now. We're going to grab that video next to the spirit of YAHAWAH. They're disappearing these immigrants right now. One day you with your family, next day you getting shipped off the El Salvadorian prison, getting your head shaved. They putting you in a one big cell with 100 gangbangers. Okay? Murderers and killers. All right? So we're going to be tried. See, these Israelites think this is about wearing some shirt fringes and not eating pork. No, the Lord going to test us, man. The hour of temptation is coming. This man might turn the lights off for 2 months. Turn them back on with that B system in play, which is they want to do a great restart. And a lot of you people going to go out there and take it. Just to get some just a taste of normality back. People want to go back to being normal. Remember when the C9 came, they said this is the new normal. This is the new norm. So they're creating your new reality. All right? And it's looking very bleak. America's going to be a police state. Go watch the movie trailer for Gray State that never came out because they killed the producers. Or the director, the creator of it, and his family. You're getting all these warnings, but people ain't listening.
I mean, fear-mongering, as some people call it. It's literally the exact opposite. Do not be afraid of these stupid fascists under this idiotic dictator wannabe. This is a call to preparation and organization, and a reminder to our service members to please uphold your oath to the Constitution.
President Trump has just officially declared martial law as of today, April 29th, 2025. Yesterday, he signed the executive order called Strengthening and Unleashing America's Law Enforcement to pursue criminals and to protect innocent civilians. This is terrifying, and nobody is talking about it except Rolling Stone magazine for some reason. Please go to whitehouse.gov, read the full text yourself, and spread this word. In summary, he declares that the military, the police, and ICE shall be unleashed into the streets of America to root out anything they declare as crime. They will be shielded from any prosecution for wrongdoing of any kind.
Yeah, they're giving these
stands
They're giving these whoever they put up there, because they're they're going to deputize these Proud Boys. They're going to deputize these Edomites, the Ku Klux Klan. They're going to deputize them, man, and they're giving them full immunity to do whatever they got to do to put this country back into its natural or into its order out of chaos. Because people going to start protesting. People are already losing jobs. 20,000 people just lost their job at UPS. Okay, prices ain't go down. People voted for this guy thinking he was going to be their hero, and he's failing them now. So what's going to happen? It's going to get ugly, and Trump's he's expecting that. He wants you to act up and act crazy, okay? Because he's going to knock you right back down, okay? And this is what we've been telling you about, starting on our head, elders and apostles, great millstone on down, for decades. You've been getting warned for decades about this time we coming into, and it was a joke, it was funny, it was a conspiracy theory, and now you're seeing it play out. It's manifesting. Prophecy is real. This is 2 Ezra, chapter 16, verse 68. It says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols." They got foreign troops already in here, and told you the only ways he can do this, but he also can do it using a foreign military. So they got UN troops here, staged here. These foreign troops, people that just came into your border, okay, and they hate you Americans, so they can't wait. They're salivating at the thought of kicking in your door, snatching your weave off. This man, they got a pure hatred for you Jakes. And if we went through slavery in this country and they didn't care about us, they don't care about us now. And another thing too is all these other nations, they're going back to their own country. They say, I ain't signed up for this, man. So they're gonna your Elam friend, okay, in college, he gonna leave you. He gonna go into his country and be good. Believe a lot of you people out here to die. But you was going to his church with him. You was, worshiping his God with him. Worshiping Buddha and shit. This is what Jake doing. Jake worshiping Buddha. You better seek YAHAWASHI. Yesterday I went into it. I told you there was a story about when a hurricane came in. I believe it was in Dallas, and the floods water was high. This woman was trapped in her attic. This was years ago, and she called 911 and she said, "Sorry, man, we can't get to you." And she said, "So what do you think I should? What do you expect me to do?" She said, "Pray to your God." Okay, and you Jakes have been rejecting YAHAWASHI. So who are you gonna call? It says, verse 68, "And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot." We went into it yesterday about the whole Katrina thing. When you consent unto them and go to them FEMA camps, you might not make it out. But if you do make it out, or in there, you're gonna be in there getting tortured, disrespected, spat on. Okay. The video we did yesterday, I believe it's from the same brother channel. Let me see. I believe it's the brother Arrows of Indignation. It's like this computer is super slow. I believe it's Arrows of Indignation. Yep. We did a video on one of the videos that he did the other day, and it was going into how what happened with Katrina, and Jake was saying how they put him in those. And she called it a concentration camp, and she said they was letting the white people out and getting them to safety, but they was leaving them in there. She said that it just kept getting darker. The crowd just kept getting darker and darker. Before they know it, it was 95% of African Americans in there. So don't forget, you niggas don't forgot that this man never cared about us, man. Michael Jackson said that they don't really care about us, and then they killed him. It says, "And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot." They're gonna have you under their boots, stomping your head in. Okay, "For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord." Right, they coming down with that wrath. If you believe in YAHAWASHI, if you call upon YAHAWASHI, they gonna want you to prove it. Doesn't that say that in, what's that, Wisdom of Solomon? Or I can grab that if I don't forget. It says, "They shall be like madmen." Here's the point. "They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord." So they're going to be like madmen, okay? No mercy. Well, that's a slogan for their New World Order. Show no mercy. They're not planning on showing. They're not finna show you no mercy, man. Okay? They're gonna cut the lights out, and they're gonna come and do what they want to do. You know, they're gonna come for the outspoken ones first. Okay, the so-called truthers, but most importantly, the prophets. They know who we are. They're watching these videos like you watching. They're watching the video, and they licking their chops. They cracking their knuckles. They're like, well, we can't wait. We can't wait. You know, and because right now we seem weak and insignificant, but the Lord is going to be with us. Okay, the Lord is going to be with us. It says, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord, running through Jake. Okay? For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Right? You ain't going to be able to stay up there in your house, you know, in your apartment, thinking it's all cool, peaches and cream, everything going to be okay. No, they kicking in your door. All right? Everybody got to evacuate. They coming through with school buses. Everybody get on the bus. You have the military there, you know? It says, for they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen. And they shall be tried as a gold in the fire. You're going to know who the true men of the Lord are because they're going to be tried and they're going to pass those tests. They're going to remain firm. When everybody else is buckling in fear, terrified, taking the MOTB, running up there, okay, I'll take it, I'll take it. The guys who you think the most, you're going to find out that the Lord is not dealing with these individuals, man. You know, look what happened with Alazar. People was worshiping that guy, and this guy was around here getting bent over. Okay? So the Lord, man, the Lord got a sense of humor. All right? And he done gave you wicked Jakes all these false prophets to lead you astray so he can destroy you anyways. Jacob's trouble is coming, and a lot of you Jakes are about to be in trouble. It says, verse 74, hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. So the days of trouble are at hand, man. The days of great death and destruction, the days of chaos, the days of murder. Okay, blood in the streets. Okay, so don't be surprised. But here, but this is for us. It says, but I will deliver you from the same. The Lord said He gonna deliver us, man, and that's our faith. That's all we got. we trust that the Lord gonna deliver us. We don't know exactly how, but we know He got infinite ways that He can, and we good with that. Okay. It says, but ye, and that takes faith to just believe the Lord got you, you know, with really no proof, you know. Now we know the Spirit supping with us, but you know, besides that, you know, people, you know, Edomites, they got to see it, you know. We just feel it. We know it. You know it in your spirit. It's like when you fall in love. How you know you in love? Can you see it? It's a feeling. Okay. So when YAHAWASHI come, He gonna say, I know you. I love you. Come up hither. Okay. And that's what we desperately need, because it's gonna be hot down here before the fire come. It says, be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for the Most High is your guide. So don't be afraid. Don't doubt. Trust the process. The Lord gonna deliver us. You got to believe that, though. Let's finish this up. And we'll grab this next video.
In their way, they will be prosecuted as a criminal. What this means is that no warrants will be needed by anyone.
You hear that? Bring that
Spread this word. In summary, he declares that the military, the police, and ICE shall be unleashed into the streets of America to root out anything they declare as crime. They will be shielded from any prosecution for wrongdoing of any kind. If a civil official stands in their way, they will be prosecuted as a criminal. What this means is that no warrants will be needed by anyone. If you get murdered by ICE, that's legal. If a judge or an attorney tries to prosecute them, they will be arrested themselves. This is a state called martial law. It means that the military, the police, and ICE decide the law now. We no longer have rights. As Trump and Pam Bondi have both said, speaking out is a crime. Disagreeing with the president is a crime. You
hear that? Speaking out is a crime, and disagreeing with the president is a crime. So you break these crimes. This is who we talking about sending to those El Salvadorian prisons. Okay? This is who we talking about sending to them El Salvadorian prisons, man. All right? And he looking for a reason. He can't wait for you to jump stupid. All right? This devil cannot wait. That's what Trump want. He want people to act crazy. He wants you to go out there and protest. He wants you to, you know, to do whatever you think you're finna do. And he gonna send the military out there to take care of you. You know? So it's all through the spirit of Yahweh BAHASHAM Yahawadah. We warning you about this, telling you what time we're coming into, to repent, to get right, or you're gonna be destroyed. That's just the truth. Let's go over here. This is Isaiah chapter 59, verse 19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord Yahweh BAHASHAM Yahawadah from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard. You see? So the enemy is about to come in like a flood. All right? He about to come in like a flood. This man ain't playing. Trump is not playing. He doesn't care about nothing. All right? He gonna be that devil. People don't believe it right now, but you gonna
State and federal officials just announced the biggest immigration.
So lucky. Let this thing load up. You know, you're gonna see it, man. All right, gotta make this phone charging too. Bear with me 1 second. Yep. So we in the time of great death and destruction, the time that the prophets have been warning you about from the beginning. With Jake playing. Look what they just did down here to you know, these migrants in Florida. I heard it was 800 last. Now they're saying it's 1,000. So this little operation that they did, they came, you know, and got 1,000. We're gonna see how they did it. It says immigration operation yields over 1,000 arrests in Florida. Okay, so they down here moving. But let's see what they did.
Officials just announced the biggest immigration roundup by a state in American history. 1,100 people were arrested across Florida. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Luann Sorrell.
And I'm John Brown. Not everyone, though, is thrilled with that announcement from the governor today. And we have live team coverage across Central Florida, from breaking down the state's big roundup to people protesting the crackdown coast to coast. We start with Fox 35's Marlisa Goldsmith. So, Marlisa, the governor touting his immigration efforts today.
Yeah, John, the governor says this could not have happened had local law enforcement not been willing to partner with ICE to locate those people who had already been declared illegal and ordered to be deported. The governor calls it Operation Tidal Wave and says,
oh, wow.
That should be followed.
Wow, you heard that?
Under a federal law called...
You heard that? I just grabbed that. They called it Operation Tidal Wave. What is that? What, brother? What's that, brother? What's that? Operation Tidal Wave. Let's bring this back. Isaiah chapter 59, verse 19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord, Yahweh, from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. All over the world, Jake was calling upon Yahweh BAHASHAM Yahawadah. Coming back to Yahweh BAHASHAM Yahawadah. It says, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. You see? When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of the Lord Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him. So the Lord gonna lift up a standard. Okay, a way to escape. He gonna give his men that spiritual power. Let's look at this word for tidal wave. Let's see what it say. Okay. Tidal wave. Meaning. It says, okay, it says a tidal wave is a regularly reoccurring shadow water wave caused by effects of the gravitational interactions between the sun, moon, and earth on the ocean. Oh, wow. So this tidal wave is, you know, being caused by the heavens. Okay. The term tidal wave is often used to refer to tsunamis. You know how tsunami comes. A tsunami is a flood. It brings a flood. It comes through and it wipes everything out. That's what Esau is about to do. This is all spiritual. I had no idea I was going to say that. I had no idea the operation was called Operation Tidal Wave. Okay. It says this reference is innocent as tsunamis have nothing to do with tides. Right. So that's all the spirit. They just said the enemy shall come in like a flood. All right. We just brought out how he shall be like madmen sparing none. So they don't care. They just snatching people up. People that ain't even on the list, they just snatching them up now. And now they're talking about they're going to start coming for American citizens.
287G, 250 members of local law enforcement worked with ICE to identify suspects and arrest them. The governor, though, is furious over an order from a federal judge in Miami who says that local law enforcement is not allowed to arrest suspected illegals who enter Florida, despite a new law that declares that a misdemeanor. Instead, she says those arrests have to be made by federal agents. She has threatened to hold the attorney general in contempt of court after he said he couldn't stop law enforcement from making those arrests.
You can't have effective immigration enforcement if you have elaborate procedures that you have to go through. It is not punishment to be removed from this country. If you're going to be punished, then you get the full panoply of due process. But these are not punishments that are being rendered. It is just the consequence of being here illegally. Now, in terms of this judge, we are not at all surprised.
The governor also says he has asked the Department of Homeland Security to expand detention space in Florida because there's not currently enough room to house undocumented immigrants if the scale of removals will reach President Trump's goals. Right now, the state only has 3 large-scale facilities. The governor says those centers could be set up quickly if given the go-ahead. There could be up to 80,000 people in the state with final removal orders.
80,000 people. So they finna come through. And you know, this guy Trump, like I said earlier, he was talking to these other countries about can he send people to their countries, to Libya, and I forgot the other place. But it's go to show you that this is just the beginning. These operations are just getting bigger and bigger, you know. And now they're talking about American criminals sending American citizens, you know, to these places too. So what are you gonna do? You know, who you gonna call upon when this day coming up? When this man brings the wrath, he's about to bring the hammer down. Okay, and it's really all the spirit of YAHAWASHI. Let's grab that too, because we coming into that time of Jacob's trouble. Okay, and the main people they targeting right now are you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Indians. That's who they're looking for. First, let me grab Daniel. Okay, because you know, though this sound crazy, you might think, well, you know, even Ezra said, woe was me, who will deliver me in those days? We got to trust and believe that the Lord got us. The Lord going to deliver us. He going to have his angels. It says, Daniel chapter 12, verse 1, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. Michael was the archangel, okay? He shall stand up for the children of thy people, you the Israelites, starting with the elect. Getting a phone call. Starting with the elect. It says, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as was never since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time shall thy people be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. So whoever the elect are, they're going to be delivered, okay? Some of us may be martyrs, but for the most part, Jacob's going to be delivered, you know? But the rest of these people, you 2/3, you're gonna be caught up in this, okay? Matter of fact, we meant to bring this out too. I think the brother forgot to bring it out. Just when we was just doing a live. But let's bring this out too before we forget. It says Jeremiah chapter, let me grab this in the NLT as well. Jeremiah chapter 15. Okay. Jeremiah chapter 15. It says, Jeremiah chapter 15, verse 1. Then said the Lord Yahawah unto me, though Moses and Samuel stood before me, yet my mind could not be toward this people. Cast them out of my sight and let them go forth. So the Lord is really pissed off with his people. You know, Jake out here. We just seen the little video with this guy, the Booty Warrior. He was on a 20 verse 1 show, and you had men and women coming up to this guy. You know, Jake is bugged out. Jake is through. So the best thing for them is to get, you know, euthanized, to get put down so they can come back in their right mind. It says, and it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whither shall we go forth? Yeah, the Lord casting you off. But the Lord been supping with you this whole time, trying to teach you, but you can't get it. Hey, you getting casted off now. It says, whither shall we go forth? Then shalt thou tell them, thus saith the Lord Yahawah, such as for death to death, and such as for the sword to the sword, and such as for the famine to the famine, and such as for the captivity to the captivity. So whatever the Lord got to set up for your judgment to be, hey, go to that. Whether it be starving to death, okay, whether it being getting shot up by Esau, whether it being captive in a FEMA camp, you know, in Guantanamo Bay somewhere getting punched on, okay, whether it be just getting put to death in some gruesome way. It says, and I will appoint over them 4 kinds, saith the Lord Yahawah BAHASHAM Yahawashi, saith Salakia, the sword to slay. What King David said, he said, hide me from the wicked, which is thy sword. Okay, the Lord gonna sick this man on you. It says, a sword to slay, and the dogs to tear, and the fowls of heaven, and the beasts of the earth to devour and destroy. I will cause them to be removed into all kingdoms of the earth. That's the point, you know. And you know, Esau, when he come down with his wrath, he gonna have, you know, they got those canines. He gonna just sick them through the hood. Then they got these robot dogs now too, these robot dogs. But what they do with them canines, I did a video a while back, is they put like titanium teeth in their mouth. They give them titanium teeth, so when they bite you, their teeth don't break. Okay, it said dogs to tear, tearing your flesh. You're gonna be trying to run from them, and they're gonna stick the dog on you. Dog come over there and chew the whole back of your calf off, man. Okay. Chew your whole pull a whole chunk out of your hamstring, and you're gonna be you know, and they ain't taking you down, son. You down on the spot. If they don't torture you, this is the time of Jacob's trouble. Okay, let's go. Let's grab that. Jeremiah 30. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 30, verse. Let me get right to the point. It says, verse 4, it says, and these are the words that the Lord Yahawah spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah, you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Okay? That's the only people the Lord is concerned with, which you coming back to being Israel. If you not, the Lord don't care about you. We don't care about you. If you ain't trying to get right, then you're going to get left. And you don't want to get left out here with the cannibals. Okay? You woman talking about, I ain't sharing no, man. Okay, well, you can go argue with the cannibals, man. Let them share you. Okay? They'll share you. You know, the Lord is setting up a righteous order in the earth, man. You got to come back to Yahawah BAHASHAM Yahawashi in truth and in sincerity if you in hopes to be saved. The Lord ain't playing. And he's the one that's putting the spirit in Trump to be that cruel Lord that do all this, man. Separating families and stuff. He don't care. It says, okay, it says, verse 5, for thus saith Yahawah, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. You're going to hear people screaming, wailing. Jake going to be, oh my God, you know, crying because they, you know, their family just got shot or something. It's going to be bad. So if you can't get it with the words, you're gonna get it with the experience. You're gonna live that. You know, every day until a nuke drop. If you don't die, and unfortunately, but fortunately for us, this is the will of the Lord for the majority of our people. You know, and we just hope that we ain't a part of that number, and that we don't get caught up in that wrath and that destruction that the Lord is about to bring. It says. Verse 6, ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. People going to be terrified. Grown men going to be screaming. Okay? People you going to see people shooken up. These proud Americans, these proud ass women, these proud ass niggas. You know, these YNs, you can't tell them shit, you know. Niggas going to be stuck. Looking crazy. You see in the movies. When shit get real, motherfuckers, you know, they freeze up. Jake gonna freeze up and get smack it. You know? You gonna have Edomites out there with a damn what is it? A hatchet, you know? Hey, the other day, me and the brothers we had went paintballing. You know, just something that we did. You know, because we got the time. We went paintballing. The brothers never went paintballing before, but them Edomites was out there. Them Edomites was out there, man, and they said they be out there every weekend. Okay, they got the little obstacles. They learning all the tactical moves. They learning all the way. They got the automatic weapons. They give you the bullshit guns, but they come with their own. They come with their own stuff, and they know how to shoot. They know how to tuck and roll, and you know they out there every week. But one of the guys came out there with a hatchet, you know, on his pants. Tall Edomite with a cowboy hat. They called him Cowboy. As soon as they say go, he ran through the whole obstacle. Doom, 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 just hitting people. Big old tall cracker, man. He was like, you know, that's what they live for. You Jakes ain't ready. It says, alas, for that day is great, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. That he is the elect. Okay? The elect man is going to be saved out of it, but everybody else is going to be caught up in it. You know? In the NLT, it says, in all history, there has never been such a time of terror. So this is going to be the worst time in history, okay, of terror. It says, it will be a time of trouble for my people, you Israelites. It will be trouble for my people, Israel, yet in the end, they will be saved, which is that remnant, that elect, okay? That's the ones that's going to be saved. Yeah, but it's going to be a terrible time, a time of trouble. Okay, for the majority of you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Indians. And all this time, you've been getting the warning call and ain't been picking up. You know, to watch what the Lord about to do. Let me see. I'm gonna grab one more. And I'll close out. All right, I won't make this too long. Let's go right here. It says, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24. I'll just get right to the point. Verse 21 in the NLT, it says, for there will be greater anguish than at any time since the world began, and it will never be so great. You see, a time worse than any time in history. Okay, let's look at this word anguish real quick. Why not, right? Let's go into this word for anguish. And I looked it up before. Anguish. Love you. Anguish. The word for anguish is severe mental or physical pain or suffering. You hear that? There shall be greater anguish than any time since ever before. Let me bring that back. It says, for there will be greater anguish than at any time since the world began. So think about all the hell that was on the earth, the world wars, the slavery, you know. There's going to be greater anguish than any time ever before, it says, and it will never be so great again. So this is going to be a time that's going to, you know, really, you know, eclipse all that, you know. And the word for anguish, it goes into it. It says severe mental or physical pain or suffering. So this pain is going to be mental and physical. People are going to be losing their minds. It says the synonyms is agony, pain, torment, torture. It's going to be torture, suffering, distress, angst, misery. People are going to be miserable. Sorrow, grief, heartache, heartbreak, wretchedness, unhappiness. You ain't going to be happy. You ain't going to be laughing and joking about, you know, the times we're coming into. Ain't nobody going to crack a joke. It's like I was talking about it earlier. You know, you watch a movie and it's an intense situation and somebody crack a joke. Yeah, ain't nobody going to be cracking a joke. It says woe, which means destruction, desolation, despair, the dark night of the soul, purgatory, hell. Look at that. Hell on earth. Woo! That's crazy. It say hell on earth. Okay? Christians looking for hell under the ground. Hell finna be on earth. Okay? Look at that Purge movie. When everybody ran up to that church, what happened? They came in there and they was there and they shot, they slaughtered them like sheep. Okay? It says to be extremely distressed about something. That's anguish. So going back, it says, in fact, unless that time of calamity is shortened, not a single person will survive. You hear this? Unless that time of calamity is shortened, not a single person will survive. So the Lord got to come in and save us. He's going to have to deliver us. Esau not playing. You see how they just did, and they didn't really show much in this video. I find that strange, you know. They was kind of talking more than anything, but they was, you know, these devils trying to hide what they doing. They ain't gonna tell you all the, you know, all the tactics they using. And this is down here in Florida.
State and federal officials just announced the biggest immigration roundup by a state in American history. 11
in American history.
Arrested across Florida.
In American history. So they're breaking records. Okay? What'd that say? Our cowardly Republican representatives are letting, let's say something right there. They be putting these signs on here for a reason, you know? They allow this to show up on the news for a purpose. You know, nothing gets put on the news unless they at least want it on there. So they allow these things, and that's why you got to slow this stuff down and watch it, you know, if you do watch it. But it's all witchcraft and sorcery, you know, because they ain't telling you the full, you know, the full spiel. It says, in fact, unless that time of calamity is shortened, not a single person will survive, but it will be shortened for the sake of the Most High's chosen ones. Okay, it's going to be shortened for the sake of the elect. Okay, in the KJV, it says, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So the Lord going to shorten these times for the elect's sake. All right, that's who only people the Lord is concerned with, is the elect of the nation of Israel. Okay, everybody else, you're through. It's over. Okay, the party's over. You had your fun. Okay, and now it's time for the Lord to shut it down. Okay, and America's getting shut down. The Lord is done with America, and America served his purpose for prophecy's sake, and now he's done with it, and we're done with it. Okay, jumping up, it says, verse 6, it says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. They about to make war against the citizens. You know, it says, see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So this must happen. This has to happen. Okay? We got to go through it. Through much tribulation shall we enter into the kingdom of heaven. It ain't going to be no walk in the park. It says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. This is just the beginning. You know, we just getting started. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended and betray one another, and shall hate one another. This is the time we're coming into. Two people going to be switching up on each other. Okay? People going to be switching up. Your family members that you thought was really, Scripture says a man's foe should be they of his own household. The people that's closest to you are going to be the worst people for you. Okay? You're going to find out that they was never really for you. It says, verse 6 in the NLT, and you will hear of wars and threats of wars, but don't panic. And in that Gray State trailer, it was a scene where it said, the ones who panic first, die first. So the best thing you can do is remain calm in this time. We already know what's coming, so Scripture says wisdom and knowledge should be the stability of our times. It says, yes, these things must take place, but the end won't follow immediately. Nation will go to war against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in many parts of the world. And you seeing that. What happened with Taiwan? You know, if you get those earthquake apps, and they'll tell you that it's earthquakes happening all the time. Okay, right now earthquake just happened somewhere. Okay, it might not have been as significant or strong, but they're happening. And then they increase, they go back down, you know. It says, then you will be arrested, persecuted, and killed. So what Trump is doing, he's getting ready for persecution. I saw a video too of them talking about these small hats, you know, and anti-Sem and stuff like that. And they were, and they wanted to come for pretty much. If you even mention the small hats, they want to come for you. Okay, if you even say their name like the boogeyman, they coming. Okay, like Bloody Mary, you say their name 3 times, they coming. All right, and they was, you know, talking about it in the courtroom, saying, hey, you know, if somebody on a school campus call, you know, Israel a Jewish state, that's what that's what the Jewish people call it. So they saying, is that racist or is that answer? No, that's what y'all call it. You know, but they trying to find any reason, okay? And that's why they said they're gonna be in the streets too. Because you out there preaching the word, preaching the gospel, Esau don't like that. He'll come up there and, you know, try to strip the whole camp. Walk you to the paddy wagon. A lot of you dicks ain't never been in a paddy wagon before. Okay? I've been in a paddy wagon before. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, man. So when Esau come with this wrath, he's not coming to talk all softly. He's gonna show you he's the devil. It says, then you will be arrested, persecuted, and killed. You will be hated all over the world because you are my followers. Because we serve in YAHWAH. We believe in YAHWAH. And many will turn away from me and betray and hate each other. You see? A man's foe should be there of his own household. They're going to, your own people going to turn against you, man. Jake, who we've been out there teaching for all this time, it's dumb, it's their fault. They did this. That's why all over TikTok you got Jake telling some of the Hebrew Israelites this, the Hebrew Israelites that. You know? The Lord is giving us fame in the land. People know who the Hebrew Israelites is, man. They pass by the camp, they act like they don't know, but they know who the Hebrew Israelites are. So the word is going out. You can't say you ain't know. It says, sin will be it's like verse 11. And many false prophets will appear and will deceive many people, like Alazar. He deceived all them people thinking that he was acting like he was a man of the Lord and a true high priest, and he was doing all that weird stuff behind closed doors. Okay? That's wickedness, man. So you're going to have all these guys that are like Bishop Nate teaching you, you know, the wrong doctrines. And you're going to think these are men of the Lord, but they're not. That's all a part of the Lord's snare. He's letting a stumbling block. If you ain't right, he going to send you to some bug outs. And you're going to be bugged out. It says, sin will be rampant everywhere, and the love of many will grow cold. It's going to be every man for himself. A dog-eat-dog world this time we coming into right here. Okay? A dog-eat-dog world. Ain't nobody going to care about their neighbor. Okay? Scripture says they should be lovers of their own selves. It's going to be all about self-preservation. People are going to be trying to save themselves. Every man for himself. You know? You got women going to be eating their children. Okay? Family members going to be turning on one another. They're going to be trying to turn you in for that bounty on your head. Don't be surprised. And this is why we don't really deal with our families, man. You know? You come into the truth and you come amongst the body, that's your new family. Not your damn cousin Tay-Tay that like to smoke blunts and fight at parties. You got to leave that nigga here. If they ain't trying to get right, they got to get left. Or you going to get left with them. It says, but the one who endures to the end will be saved. So we got to endure through all this hell that's coming. That's another thing that IUSC don't tell you. We're going to be la-di-da-da in the kingdom of heaven. No, we're going to have to go through this hell. Okay? And come out alive. Or, you know, hey, come out a martyr. You know, be made one with YAHWASHI. But the point is, we got to get through it. You're going to have to endure to the end. And this whole thing is going to be trying to break Esau's going to try to break your faith. He's going to try to strike fear in you to make you denounce YAHWASHI, take his MOTB so he can kill you anyways. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. And the good news about the kingdom will be preached throughout the whole world. So right now, the good news about the kingdom is being preached throughout the whole world. That's why they're talking about all over TikTok. So that all nations will hear it, and then the end will come. You see? So once everybody hear this word, then the end is going to come. This is why through the spirit of Yahawah shall we keep pushing this out, because the more this word go out, the closer we get to getting the hell up out of here. Okay? That's plain. This word got to go out. The more, and what happened when Jake hearing it, they're being marked or they're being sealed. You know, 2/3 are being marked, and the 1/3 is being sealed. All right, so the Lord can come and do what He got to do what He planned to do, and we're all with that. When the Lord come and start slaughtering Jake, we ain't gonna complain. Okay, as long as He have mercy upon us, man. And even if the Lord don't have mercy upon us, hey, whatever the Lord's will be, let it be. Okay, it will be. And then at the same time, we're gonna be, as long as we get the hell up out of here, you know.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Luann Sorrell.
And I'm John Brown. Not everyone, though, is thrilled with that announcement from the governor today. And we have live team coverage across Central Florida, from breaking down the state's big roundup to
people protesting
the crackdown coast to coast. We start with Fox 35's Marlisa Goldsmith. So, Marlisa, the governor touting his immigration efforts today.
Yeah, John, the governor says this could not have happened had local law enforcement not
got
been willing
Eve.
to partner with ICE to locate those people who had already been declared illegal and ordered to be deported. The governor calls it Operation Tidal Wave and says it is an example that should be followed by other states. Under a federal law called 287G, 250 members of local law.
And a lot of Jake just here trying to work, you know, trying to make a living for their families, you know. And they ain't even talking about, you know, sending you back to your country. Now they just sending you to a El Salvadorian prison, you know, like you done did the most heinous crimes. Some of these people don't even have, records. Okay, and they said you don't come out of that El Salvadorian prison unless you come out in the body bag. So and that's a place for terrorists, man, for real live criminals. But they sending people there that just came here in this country to try to make a living. Now some of them is wicked as hell, but you know, there's a good portion of them that's just, you know, Jake. But also means the judgment of YAHAWASHI.
Enforcement worked with ICE to identify suspects and arrest them. The governor, though, is furious over an order from a federal judge in Miami. 50 members of local law enforcement worked with ICE to identify suspects and arrest them. The governor, though, is furious over an order from a federal judge in Miami who says that local law enforcement is not allowed to arrest suspected illegals who enter Florida, despite a new law that declares that a misdemeanor. Instead, she says those arrests have to be made by federal agents who enter Florida, despite a new law that declares that a misdemeanor. Instead, she says those arrests have to be made by federal agents. She has threatened to hold the Attorney General in contempt of court after he said he couldn't stop law enforcement from making those arrests.
You can't have effective immigration enforcement if you have elaborate procedures that you have to go through. It is not punishment to be removed from this country. If you're going to be punished, then you get the full panoply of due process. But these are not punishments that are being rendered. It is just the consequence of being here illegally. Now, in terms of this judge, we are not at all surprised.
The governor also says he has asked the Department of Homeland Security to expand detention space in Florida because there's not currently enough room to house undocumented immigrants if the scale of removals will reach President Trump's goals. Right now, the state only has 3 large-scale facilities. The governor says those centers could be set up quickly if given the go-ahead. There could be up to 80,000 people in the state with final removal orders. Live in the Alert Center tonight, Marlisa.
That's 80,000 people just in the state of Florida. All right, they're not to mention the other, 49 states. That's just in the state of Florida. So get ready. You're gonna start seeing more. It's gonna get tighter and tighter. And as the Esau is tightening that chokehold on you economically, he's about to come down with that force, that brute force. Putting his foot on your neck. He gonna show you he the devil. You don't believe? Oh, y'all just hate the white man. Well, go love him then. He gonna give you something to love. Okay, he gonna show you who he really is. The warnings have went out. If you don't repent, you will be destroyed. Our job is done. Okay, our job is done. We were just sent to warn you, to let you know. I'll close out with that. Man. Salakia. Let's close out with that. I pray that's been edifying to the whole full elect. Okay. It says, this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 3, verse 17. Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. So the Lord made us watchmen. We got to be watching. So when we hear about these things happening, you know, first of all, you got to be paying attention on your watchtower, okay? Not settled upon your lees. On your watchtower, it says, therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. We're giving you warning from YAHAWASHI, okay? The Lord speaks through the mouth of his holy prophet. So we're giving you warning from YAHAWASHI. The things that we're telling you in these videos, I didn't write any of this down. I didn't, it's just, we find the video, something and press play, and the Spirit brings it out. It's all the Spirit. This is all coming from YAHAWASHI from the heavens. The warning is coming from the Lord. It says, when I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die. You're going to die. We're telling you, you're going to die. If you don't repent, you're going to die. And thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life. The same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand. This is why you get these videos like this. Because if we don't warn you, guess what? Your blood is going to be on our hands. Okay? I don't want anybody's blood on my hands. So what we do, this is what we do. Okay? Through the Spirit of YAHAWASHI. It says, yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. We just trying to deliver our souls. We just trying to do our job that the Lord called us to do. Okay? If you ain't gonna do it, that's you. We trying to do it. Okay? Because the Lord said, yet if thou warn the wicked, so we're warning you, and if he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, we want to stay a nigga, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. Okay? That's what we're here for. It says, again, when a righteous man doth turn from his from his righteousness and commit iniquity, and I lay a stumbling block before him, he shall die. Because thou hast not given him warning, he shall die in his sin. And his righteousness which he have done shall not be remembered, but his blood will I require at thine hand. You see, so you got guys falling out, bugged out. And the Lord don't care about, and that's why the scriptures we just read, so you got to endure unto the end. You know. Nevertheless, if thou warn the righteous man, and the righteous man sin not, and he doth not sin, he shall surely live, because he is warned. Also, thou hast delivered thy soul. So that's what we want too. That's why we, sometimes we might go the extra mile with an individual, just in hopes that Jake can get it, man. Our heart's desire is that Jake, will wake up, repent. Scripture says the angels rejoice in heaven when one sinner repenteth. So when we give you this word, we're hoping that you can get it. We're hoping that you can receive it and that you can, Lord, willing, be saved. Okay? We're not just doing these videos just to do them. We ultimately hope that it's edifying so that Jake can wake up, snap out of it, repent, and be saved. That's the whole goal. And the Lord ain't just going to slaughter his people, man. He gonna kill a lot of these Jakes, though. Don't get me wrong. But the Lord's going to save a lot of his people too. The Lord going to save. He ain't going to leave us out here just, helpless. Okay? And the hand of the Lord Yahweh was there upon me, and he said unto me, arise, go forth into the plain, and I will there talk with thee. That's the point. All right. So, hey, Lord, we're just listening to edifying to the full leg. It's getting a little late. I'm going to go ahead and take it in. Shalom, call halal, Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. That's giving our praise to the Most High. Call halal, Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHWASHI, for giving us this, me the Spirit through this lesson. I praise me, edifying to the full leg. Double honors to our teachers, the elders and apostles, great millstone, who taught us his truth and sincerity. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered abroad. Shalom.